The Highest in the Room is proud to be sponsored and lit by the CWCB Expo. The show has helped build a legalized cannabis industry and is a leading forum for the entire supply chain, seed to sale. At their events, many mergers, acquisitions, and deals are signed because of the exposure they provide to participating companies, sponsors, and brands. The CWCB Expo continues to support and stand shoulder to shoulder with the brave, courageous, and committed who have helped shape the cannabis industry, evolving through many phases of stigma, volatility, and legalization.
This is KymB reporting from the weed capital of the world, New York City. After almost 100 years of prohibition, the government has finally loosened the hold on cannabis. As we enter a new industry of innovation, technology, and greed, there are some cannabis professionals who have pushed through the doors of opportunity. I talk to them unfiltered and uncut. We get the real story from the highest in the room. Thank you so much for joining me and welcome to the highest in the room. I am your roving reporter, KymB. And today I'm excited to introduce my colleague and friend, Lauren Mundell. Lauren has been an integral part of my journey in cannabis, and I'm really excited to have a great marketing conversation with her today. Lauren, tell us where you are from and where you're at.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me. So I was born and raised in New York, New Yorker through and through. I raised my children as well in the town where I grew up, Fort Washington, New York, Long Island. And just before COVID, so about 5 years ago, my family and I relocated out here to Colorado. I live in a town called Lafayette. It's about halfway between Boulder and Denver. And I just didn't have the patience to wait for New York to go legal. I needed to be in a legal state ASAP. So that's why I moved here.
Yeah, so I'm excited later on to get a bird's eye view of what is happening in Colorado. But I'd love to get to our audience to know you a little better. So tell us three things about yourself that we wouldn't know unless we ask.
All right. Well, I decided to go with some, shocking information. No, I always use this as like my party trick. And the first one is I failed out of Cornell. And you definitely not know that about me unless you ask, because I'm not about to like be, writing that all over the place. But when I did that, I actually started, I ran away to join the circus. That's number two. I ran away to join the circus as a Club Med GO in the 90s. So if you don't know what a GO is, because a lot of younger people don't even know what Club Med is, it was a vacation spot, and it still is. But in the 90s, it was just like the biggest party scene ever. And I just basically worked, you know, and drank and partied and hooked up with boys, etc. On the beach in Florida and then also in the Bahamas, Eleuthera. And then the third thing, and maybe some people already know this, but I just became an empty nester in August, and it's pretty awesome. I miss my kids. I see them a lot, but I miss them. I miss that they're not under my roof, but I also love having my own space and like no just boy stuff around. So there's my three things.
And quickly, you are a published author. I, of course, have a signed book, and you founded a platform called Hi Curious. And so we'll get to that too, but let's get a little hot and spicy in here.
Yeah.
So tell us what's hot in Colorado cannabis and beyond, because you're a traveler, a woman who's all over the place. So, but we would love to hear a little bit about what Colorado has going on and what the market feels like there.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been a hard year in Colorado. There's a lot of acquisitions of dispensaries, a lot of rolling up. I mean, cannabis has been legal for more than 10 years here now, recreationally or adult use. And so we're seeing a lot of consolidation. Also, there's many, many fewer SKUs on shelf. and fewer brands, but always new brands are cropping up. So it's not like it's like a dead market or you shouldn't come here or anything like that. It's just, it's we are 10 years in and we really care about innovation and like solventless is like everybody knows what solventless is here. Everyone knows what rosin is. Everyone knows what that the gummies that are solventless are better and whole plant. There's a much more educated consumer here 10 years in. And then the other thing that's going on in Colorado finally is the push into public consumption lounges. And so you probably know that Cirrus Social Club will be opening in hopefully around January or early 2025. And then we already have Tetra Lounge, which is a really amazing spot right in downtown Denver, where you can pay, you pay a small cover and then you can bring your own cannabis. You can DoorDash to there, which I've done, and you could just hang out kind of in this beautiful backyard in downtown Denver with comfy couches and sesh with your friends. And it's so amazing to finally have that.
Definitely. That's super dope and honestly about fucking time.
Right? I mean, come on.
So, well, good to know, and thank you for sharing. So, let's get into our spiciness. What
Mhm.
burns you up about the cannabis industry?
So I'm very burned up about the division between and the politicized division between hemp and or intoxicating hemp and cannabis, or hemp and cannabis, however you want to put it. Um, I don't like I used to stand all the way on the side of like no deltas and no this, but I don't really stand there anymore. I understand that there's states in this country where people don't have access to to dispensary cannabis, and where products like, Delta 9 THC derived from hemp have, medicinal value as well. But what I hate is that it's kind of turned like almost that hemp is red and cannabis is blue. And if you and I hate that about it. That's what burns me up, is that like it's actually dividing us, when we should be figuring out how to work together, right? Maybe hemp derived is more for beverages, and for maybe it does become cannabis light in some way. But I do think that then there is a place for cannabis, and I don't want people to the consumer is the one who has no idea that there's even a difference. I mean, my sister, who's a very, very educated consumer, is like thinks it's the same thing that she's buying on the shelf at Stu Leonard's in New York, um, that she could buy at a dispensary. And I'm like, no, it's not the same. And it's like they glaze over when you try to explain it to them. So that's the part. It's just like there's this division, and it's confusing the consumer, and it's just muddying all the waters around cannabis in the industry.
It's a great point, and I totally understand being the co-founder of Tribe Tokes and, having many besides our CBD products, which are does really well in the market. We have other products that we sell to certain states,
I
and
know, and
some people have a problem with it. And I tell them, guess what? You don't pay my bills.
no, totally, and
So
yeah, I mean, I've had to make some decisions this year about clients decided to work with, et cetera, and about that whole it doesn't pay the bills or it does pay the bills, and your ethics go to a certain point, but also your pocketbook needs.
we're all, regardless of what part of the cannabis industry we're in, we're all fighting for the same thing. And we're all not here to just be advocates. We're business owners, and it's about business. And I'm really about my business. So it's a conundrum, a catch 22,
It is.
but I think that it will I think over the next 5 years, we're going to really see everything get sorted out for good or bad.
I agree.
But there's going to be a sorting process like Harry Potter where they,
The sorting hat.
yeah, and
Really Hufflepuff.
it's just going to be like that. And you know what, it's not a may the best woman win. It's going to be how we collaborate and unify the plant as it should be. So thank you for bringing that up. That's so interesting. Now you have an interesting story. Tell us a little bit about your kind of like where you came in to cannabis with your platform Hi Curious, which started out as an app.
Correct.
Yeah, so give us the goods. Tell
All
us
right.
where it all started.
I'll try to condense 8 years into like 3 minutes. So I started using cannabis at 43. I'm 51 now. My husband had just retired from the Navy Reserves and was able to use cannabis for the first time since he was, in his teens. And I had had a bad experience with it at Cornell and did not ever really want to have it again, try it again. So when he wanted to, that was new for me and like shocking. But when I started microdosing after seeing how well it was affecting him, I realized like, oh my gosh, this is a wellness supplement. Like, and as a wellness marketer, I was just like, why isn't anyone talking about it like this? And so, of course, given me, like, I always, when I get into something, I just like don't like just like dabble in it. I like go all the way in. And so I was like always talking about it. And my husband and I were always having conversations about it. And he's like, you're becoming a stoner. And I'm like, no, I'm not a stoner. I'm just high curious. And that's how the brand, like, kind of like bi curious, that's how the brand was kind of born. And I always knew that I wanted that to be the brand. And then the expression of the brand um, kind of has taken different um, forms over the course of the past 5 years based on how I felt like I needed to pivot to accommodate what I was seeing in the market. And so the first thing I did, which was honestly now looking back, was just way too, it was way punching way above my weight, was trying to build a social media platform for the cannabis industry with the goal of it really being influencer starring, influencer focused. KymB did a few workouts on there in the beginning, and we really wanted to create, a place where people could come connect with other cannabis people, learn from cannabis industry experts, but like in a really, really approachable way. And it was so fun, but no, we had like 5,000 downloads, which for us was like huge. But then when I spoke to Aaron Richard who's now the founder of Cirrus, who is the founder of WeedTube, and who had like, I think a 750,000 downloads, was really struggling with his business as a social media platform. And I was like, all right, he's invested way more money, way more time, and it's not punching as high above his weight in terms of he was already an influencer on YouTube. He already had a lot of influence. And I was like, I can't, do this anymore. And so I really pivoted then to become an influencer marketing platform, which is really what I should have been in the first place, because it's really where my expertise lies. And so what we do now is we help influencers find brand partners, and we help brands find influencers to work with across all states and Canada. So if a brand is interested in getting their message across, we help them, we listen to who their target market is, and then we find the influencers who reach that target market.
Yeah, and I mean, there's been a handful of apps that have really, come on the scene, including, Burner himself coming out with an app, and
Exactly.
a few others, our friends, the Beard Brothers, and so many people like yourself have seen the value in trying to come up with something cohesive that's cannabis friendly, because as we know, still today in this moment,
Right.
Instagram hates on
Hate
the
them.
can, and Zuckerberg is not changing it, and we are all struggling with cannabis and being shadow banned. I mean, I'm constantly shadow banned.
And it's
Last
getting
week,
worse and worse. I mean, it's not like it loosens up. I think, all of us are starting to really pivot our content away from smoking content because we're sick of being and when I say us, I mean cannabis influencers. We're sick of being shut down, like, because it's just like making content takes so much time and energy, and then to like have your reel that you actually went out and shot in a field with like other people that like actually took your time and energy, like then gets taken down. It's like shit. So I mean, you'll see like Natalie J. Benson, who's somebody who I follow, who has a lot of followers. And I think that she's like a leader in cannabis content creation. She's doing a lot of like, she's constantly like showing, blowing off screen, never showing the cannabis, kind of like trying to make it a tongue in cheek, like, I'm doing it. Cannabinista. She's in California. In California. She's in Vancouver, Toronto. Yes, and she's been sharing, doing the same thing. You'll see, what's her name? Even Koala Puffs.
I was just going to say she does a lot on Twitch.
Doing cooking content now on Instagram because
Yeah.
she's just like, screw it. It's like, I want to keep my platform. Like, I want to, the community. And I think that's kind of what you were talking about when you started this question, was like, if Berner did it, Aaron did it, I tried to do it, many other people tried to do it with the goal of building a community. I mean, that's really what it was. It was like trying to find your people, right? Because on Instagram, we're constantly being shadow banned or whatever. So like, it's really hard to find your people.
It is.
Yeah. So that was like the goal, but it was very challenging. And it's, I had honestly found that I was spending less time on my own app and more time on the other platforms trying to get people over to my app. Right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's kind of, paddling upstream. People are just obsessed with Instagram, and it's
And
just
TikTok.
and I just, after being deleted 7 times on Instagram, the last time I was deleted, I was like, I can't do it anymore. And now, I've lost followers because I have nothing to post. Every time I post weed, they take it down, they shadow ban me. Last week, I got over, 2,000 views on all my stories. And this week I posted a one weed thing, and now I'm down to 200. So it's a crapshoot that I feel like none of us are really willing to take. So actually, this is a great segue into my next question about what, why is it so powerful to be an influencer, and what really, makes an influencer stand out?
So, well, you actually asked the question to like, why is content queen? So can kind of start there, right? Content is queen because it gives you that word of mouth, third party endorsement that like advertising, which is like, kind of like, it's still advertising is still content, but it's like influencer content is, and the key to it, which was the second part of your question, which is like how to make it work, is authenticity. And so the influencers that you follow and that I follow, I'm sure one of the reasons why you follow them is because you feel like you know them. You feel like I know you personally, but I also feel like I know you through your Instagram. Like, I'm cheering for you to spend more time up north. Like, I'm cheering for you behind the scenes, right? So I feel like I know you. I have a real relationship with you, but also like, let's just say Shalene Johnson, she's one of my big influencers, right? She influences me a lot. It's a parasocial relationship. She has no idea I even exist, even though I subscribe to her Patreon and all the other things that I do in order to like get more Shalene in my life. So people have parasocial relationships with influencers, and influencers who are authentic. And you can show that authenticity, especially through your stories, but also through the vulnerability and the real stuff that you share. I mean, I'm sure you follow Christiana Tiana. I love her. She
I don't think I
You
do.
know, she's a mom. She's based in, she's not a cannabis influencer. She has over 1 million followers. And I watch her and I just see just how much she brings her followers into her life, how often she moves the camera around to, you know, shoot little clips of different parts of her day. And it's really that authenticity, that connection. You believe that person is your friend. And that's why they can sell you anything that they recommend to you, because you trust them like your sister or like
Yeah.
your bestie, you know.
And that is actually what is absolutely so powerful. A few years ago, actually, you recommended that I follow Jessamine, to whom I love. I mean, so good, and so many like amazing aspects of, cannabis friendly, does yoga, stands up for, black and brown advocacy and rights. And it's just like a nonstop like stream of amazing things that I love and respect. And a few times has, recommended certain products where I'm like, I'm definitely going on that website at bare minimum and at least clicking through to see like what's good. So I
Yeah.
get that. And you know, as you're working with influencers and creating content, what is makes the content good besides the authenticity? Like, if there's a brand ambassador, like an influencer that is, working with a particular brand, what makes that content valuable to the brand?
Well, first of all content is valuable to the brand if it reaches their target audience. It's also like I found with my main client is Trulieve, and you know we do a lot of cannabis influencer marketing for them. And what do they want? They want people who look like everyone to be talking about, you know, using cannabis. What do they consider good content to be well shot, professional, well edited, with the influencer or the person, in the frame, just always clean, not a lot of filters, and like good clean edits. You can't, if you're doing a reel, you can't have words coming over each other. If you're doing one of those reels where, like I do these a lot, where you're saying mouthing words, it has to be perfect. Like it's not going to, I'm not saying don't put it up if it's not perfect, because I just want to be clear to like anybody who's just starting out, because because imposter syndrome is such an issue for aspiring influencers. Like, just send it. It can be shitty. Nobody's watching in the beginning. But the key to good content is really working hard at following the trend, trying to make it as professional as possible. Look at the other influencers. Go, when you pick a sound, you know this, I'm sure, but when you pick a sound, go to the page where all the sounds, all the other people who use that sound are. Click on look at the first few, the ones that have the highest views. Literally copy that, but for your niche. And, obviously use different words and all that kind of stuff. But, and the times that I've done that, I mean, I've gone viral a bunch of times, and sometimes it's been like, what the heck? But one time I was like really trying to, follow the formula. So it was just about March. It was the beginning of spring. It was just those early days when you were so excited about the weather getting nice. And I saw that this influencer was holding like 4 bottles of wine, and she came outside on her back patio, and it was like some fun music, and it said like, it's almost, drinking rosé on a patio season. And so I just like put a bong in each hand. I did the exact, came out on my back deck, and I just said, it's almost, seshing on patio season. Like I can feel it in the air or something like that. And that one got like 750,000 views. Hers was like a few million, but it's like, because I literally, like, obviously that was doing well and it was hitting at that exact moment. It wasn't like
Right.
I saved that and then I did it 2 weeks later. No, I did it right then. So yeah, I mean, it's about it's about playing the trends, but also like, and riffing on your own, but like getting good at it. Like,
Yeah, there's a great book called Steal Like an Artist. It's a super fast read where it's like you don't have to reinvent the wheel, but you've got to make the wheel your own. And
exactly.
I think that's a really powerful tip. Thank you for sharing that. I, people do still call me an influencer, and I, I don't consider myself an influencer because I kind of like I've kind of graduated out of like making content for brands. I barely even make content for my own brand, because I'm so, busy running the business, of course.
Right.
But I think that, in the beginning, I was doing all of those things, and it fucking works.
Yeah.
It works. And there isn't like, I think it's exactly what you said. It's not, there's no secret sauce. It's just about staying creative and watching what is appealing to others on like a larger scale. So, but I also think it's like important to know that it doesn't have to be perfect in the beginning, but
No,
as you go and you want to get paid for it, your
treat it like a
sloppy
job.
yeah, you've got to have it all cleaned up. But
Mhm.
which kind of like is an interesting thing. So you've kind of morphed from being an app to an agency. um and the cannabis environment is not for the faint of heart. I say this in every single interview that I do, and the struggle is real, but also it's like any other business, right? It's going to happen whether you're in it or not. So if you're passionate about it, it's like you've got to just keep sliding through the ever changing environment. Having a cannabis company is hard. It is hard. We have issues with social media. We have issues with banking. We have issues with advertising and SEO and all of the things because it's still federally illegal. And, Zuckerberg is not a fan of the canna. He's not lighting up the spliff. So we're, still in these struggles. What Why is it important in this ever changing environment to pivot and shift? I know that's so fucking cliche, but like, why is it important to constantly be pivoting and shifting? And what do you got in the hopper, sis?
Mhm. Well, so first of all, pivoting, I would not be here 5 years later if I was just banging my head up against the wall, trying to keep doing the same thing. And I'll never forget, you came to my house. It was, I don't know, it must have been right after COVID.
Yeah, I think it was like 2021.
Yeah. And you're like, you're awesome, but it's not working. And I was like, and sometimes you need a good friend or a good mentor to say that to you. And other times, and over the course of the past 4 years since then, or 3 years, I've had to say it to myself many times. And so truly what I want High Curious to be and where I'm going with it is has always been to be a platform with an agency. So an influencer marketing platform with an agency that takes on clients that are for larger than 10,000 a month. So basically a DIY influencer marketing platform for brands to be able to come on, find the influencers that they want to work with, um, choose them, talk to them right there. The influencers get to, make offers based on whatever custom, similar to Fiverr, and then check out, and then they can work with other influencers, all at the same time. And so that's like, it's something that we actually already have on High Curious, but highcurious.com, unfortunately, you just talked about all the challenges of having a cannabis business, has been like flagged for illicit drug sales or something.
Good times.
Yeah. And so it's banned from being able, I can't like drive any traffic to it. I can't do SEO. I can't buy Google ads. And so we've been working behind the scenes on a new website. It's called Influencer Garden. And this is the first time I'm talking about it. It's going to be launching in January. And it's really going to become the back office for cannabis content creators and influencers so that they can get, they can have their only one 1099. They can take credit cards, and then for brands, it'll be an easy way for them to shop for influencers and manage their influencer relationships. And so it's something that we already have, but we're really honing and moving over to influencergarden.com. And then with that, over the course of the past, especially year, but past 3 years, like you said, I've been an agency and a coach for other influencers, people who are up and coming, as well as people who are already influencers who want to treat their influencing, their content creation like a business. And so my goal has been to help people professionalize. And that's what we were just talking about in the last question, right? Is like treating it like a job, like perfect, really clean content, all that kind of stuff. And so with the pivot, this next pivot, I'm actually going to be having different tiers for influencers to have access to the courses and content that I create, and also incentivizing them to use High Curious, or to use Influencer Garden as their back office by lowering the fee that we take. And we used to take 30%. Now we're going to be only taking a very, very small, just processing fee, and charging a monthly fee for influencers starting at $4.99.
Like an
So,
Airbnb, right? It's just like you have the collection, you pick and choose,
yes.
you pay for the platform, and the rest is up to the partnership. I love that. That is absolutely brilliant.
Thank you.
Now, if there are people out there interested in either hiring through your agency or being one of the influencers, where can we find you?
Yes. So I'm very active in my DMs. So if you would like to reach out to me on Instagram, because that sometimes is really easy, it's at hi.curious. And you can also email me at lauren@hi-curious.com, hi-curious.com.
You're on
Also,
LinkedIn too.
and yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, Lauren Mundell. And then also on the website is available right now at hi-curious.com, hi-curious.com, where you can search for influencers and also make a meeting with me, because that's the best way to really start to talk to me about like your influencer marketing needs as a brand. Is let's talk about what are your goals, who are you trying to reach, and then if you're an influencer, let's talk about getting your shoppable rate card up there and start turning your business, your influence into a business. And I just want to say, Kim, that you don't have to be an influencer that like charges brands for stuff to be considered an influencer. An influencer means, to me, it means that you can get your audience to do something. So if you want your audience, you can influence your audience to do anything you want. That means you're an influencer. So
Here
don't say
I
you're not.
am. Here I am, sitting pretty. Um, Lauren, I've known you for 5 years now,
No.
and I remember meeting you at Cannagather. Yes, where did I meet you? I met you somewhere.
I can gather.
Yeah, and then you invited me to your influencer house. Actually, my girlfriend Ramona Rizzo and I stayed
In
in your
Boston.
influencer. Yeah, in Boston. So I want to thank you for all you've done for me and all you do for, people out there to teach and help grow their livelihoods. And I'm really excited to watch the influencer garden blossom.
Thank you.
And yeah, so thank you so much for being my guest. This is KymB and Lauren from High Curious. We're the highest in the room, signing off.